Okay, we're ready for the next segment. As you can see, I've got my decals, or the decals that I'm going to apply to the fuselage I have on there. I'm not going to apply any more of the decals. I think that's fine. I've been experimenting, and I think I found the best way to get the wing spar in the wing. As you can see, I have the wing spar in one of the main wings right now. I'm using the two shortest pieces of carbon rod that I have, because we're also going to be needing a couple of short pieces of carbon spar for the control rod connectors for the servo for the ailerons on the main wing. And I think that those two short pieces, what's left over, is going to work just fine. So once this is all cured, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip off this carbon spar right here at the edge of the wing where it goes into the fuselage. I have lined the wing up with the plywood support that goes into the fuselage, and then the wing is going to be glued onto that and into the slot. So I think doing the carbon spar this way is going to provide plenty of strength. Because this foam is so spongy, I couldn't cut a 1mm slot with my X-Acto blade. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the wing lined up with the slot that's in the fuselage where it will glue in. This little notch right here on the wing should line up with the servo cutout. And I'm just going to get it squared up, and then what I'm going to do is draw a line where I need to cut it. Alright, that looks pretty good. And I'm just trying to, I'm going to use a pencil to draw a line on it. I'm just trying to get it lined up so that where I cut the slot for the wing spar is going to be lined up fairly well with the support. So get that lined up. Draw your line from the inside edge of the wing down to about 5mm from the tip of the wing. And you're probably going to have to go over that line 2 or 3 times so that you can see it. Alright. We got our line drawn. Now, I'm going to take my steel ruler and I'm going to line it up with the line that we just drew. And I'm going to take my X-Acto blade and I'm going to cut from that 5mm back from the wing edge all the way down through the wing, all the way through. Okay, so we have a slot cut. Now what I'm going to do, because since the foam is so spongy, if you try to cut just a 1mm section off of that to make room for your little carbon spar, the foam is just going to curl underneath the blade. You're not going to be able to cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I am going to cut 1mm off of one side of that slot. It really doesn't matter which side you choose. Then I'm going on the back side toward the aileron. The scissors cut this pretty easily. You don't want to cut it too wide, you don't want to cut it too narrow. You know, just kind of take a look at it and get as close as you can to 1mm to make room for your carbon spar. Okay. Now, cut off that little piece of foam and take your carbon spar and test it out. And I think that is going to work just fine on this wing, just like it did on the other one. This one's a little bit cleaner because I started with scissors instead of ending with it. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a piece of wax paper here. I'm going to get my glue out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the carbon spar in there, and what I want is the top of the wing. And so we're looking at the top of the wing right now. I'm going to get my carbon spar set in there, all the way down to the slot there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these two sections of wing together against that carbon rod, and then I'm going to use some painter's tape to hold it in place. Okay. And this is also going to provide a backstop for our glue. Alright, so we've got our tape on there. We're going to flip it over. Make sure that you have a scrap piece of foam to use as a squeegee for the glue. We're going to take our glue and we're going to fill in this channel. And first, let's remove our carbon rod, our carbon spar. We're going to fill the channel with glue. Get your glue started. Alright, and then we just want to push it down into the gap and make sure you get a solid bead going in to your channel. All the way down. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our carbon spar and we're going to set in our carbon spar into the channel. Just wick off any excess glue. Okay, just make sure that it's seated down in there, that it's flush with the wing. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over that one more time with another bead of glue so that we can squeegee it all the way down in there around the carbon spar. Just lay a thin bead. Okay, there we go. Okay, so our glue's in place. Take my little scrap piece of foam to use as a squeegee and just run it through there and squeegee the glue down in around that carbon spar. Okay, so we've got glue underneath it, we've got glue on top of it, and squeegeeing it down in. Just put glue all around the carbon spar. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our other piece of wax paper, put over the top, and then take something heavy to put on top of it. Welcome back. In this segment, I want you to go ahead and dry fit everything, your servos, your control horns, your elevator, your wings. Make sure that everything fits in the way it's supposed to, your support for your wings. One thing that I had to do on my wings is I had to trim back about 0.5 millimeter on the trailing and leading edges of the wings because they fit so tight in that slot from the leading edge and the trailing edge that it was actually pushing the wing back out. So I trimmed 0.5 millimeter off of the trailing and leading edge of both wings. Also, I found another design change that was not in their build diagram, and that is that the servo for the ailerons in the diagram is oriented so the control horns and control rods are above the wing. In my kit, they have reoriented the servo cutout so that the servo is pointing down. And so you need to put if your kit is like mine, you're going to need to put your control horns on the bottom of your ailerons instead of on the top. The elevator control horn is going to go on the left and underneath, and then at least according to my kit, the way mine fits together, and the rudder control horn is going to go on the right. All these are dried up now. I think that solution for the wing spars is going to work out great. So I'm going to put my decals on my wing tips, and then I'm going to glue in my control horns. Do not glue anything else in yet except for the control horns. And then when we come back, we'll go ahead and glue in our wing support and get our servo glued in. So I'll see you in the next segment. Thanks for watching. Please give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out our Patreon site. We have a lot of free content there as well. Get ready for the next segment, and I will see you in the air.